Hello traders and welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 104. It's Iliya here, and as always I'm super happy to have you on my channel. And as you know, in this video we're gonna have a look at the market, how it developed this week, what opportunities did we have, and what we can potentially expect for the upcoming one. This week was just massive. Like, look at that weekly candle right there on the DXY after, what is it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks of consolidation. I totally actually expected that, seeing how the market was starting to change from the downside, but actually the catalyst for that was the FOMC interest rate decision and all of that stuff that happened on Thursday or Wednesday, was it, this week? So it was definitely massive. We had massive drops across all the USD pairs, then the JPYs of course followed, so it has been amazing this week, and I really hope you actually managed to catch some amazing trades. I'm a little bit pissed because I am currently finishing my university year, so I didn't manage to focus entirely on the market, and I just banked 2% this week from all of those massive moves, but definitely from next week, full pedal on the charts. Alright, so if you're new to this channel, it's all about trading. I share this weekly outlook and setups every Saturday, and once per week I'm gonna start sharing educational content and trade setups breakdown videos. So make sure you are subscribed, hit the notification bell in order not to miss those videos. And before we start, I want to mention that I've been trading some crypto, and I do it with Forex.com. It's an amazing broker with low spreads, and they also have a commission-free account. But if you choose their eco account, you still pay little commission, but it goes towards planting trees. So for every lot that you trade, they plant 10 trees. So I believe that is an amazing initiative, so make sure to support them out. The link will be down in the description. And if you already did, let's see what we have for this beautiful week. Alright, as always, let's start with the DXY to have a look at that beautiful move right there. So if you remember still, I was mentioning to you that over the long term currently we are reacting from this very nice range that the market pushed outside. Then we created this big consolidation, then we had the madness right there during the corona crisis, and then we actually come inside this range, and as you can see we react, but still the market reacted from this one because this is more the shorter term range, the shorter term supply, right? But what was really key for this setup is that we failed to make a lower low of this level, and basically the market found support, consolidated for 4 weeks, built up the volume, and then it was just like a big release right there with the FOMC. And right now we're heading higher, right? So the question is right now, are we gonna go for the highs? Above these highs? Well, possibly yes, definitely. So let's start dropping on the daily time frame to have a look actually what happened. So as you can see, we have 3 days of massive bullish price, right? So we started with 2 days of consolidation. The market still was kind of lingering around those areas. We still didn't have a break of structure. So it was looking like, okay, are we gonna have a little pullback to the downside before initiating higher, or are we maybe gonna create, because we had also this level right there that we were reacting from, and we were like, okay, is it gonna create a lower high there in order to just dump to the downside? But no, the news came out and we just massively exploded to the upside. All right, and there is actually nothing too much to break on the DXY, right? Because simply we started the week, we accumulated, we consolidated, accumulated, and then we just exploded massively to the upside without a stop. All right, there is something little to note that I spotted, and I actually called this on my morning analysis, because that's when we actually were trading euro. So what I said is that there was that range right there, right? And usually the market tends to react from ranges a lot. Like you have this rally, base rally as well. This is kind of a supply and demand technique as well. And yeah, as you can see, this happened actually on London Open right there, and this was actually the low of the week. All right, but this happened again on Tuesday, which is the perfect day for that. But I really didn't think that this is going to be the pullback, because if you then drop your FIP, then you can see that it didn't even pull back towards the 50%. So I was like, okay, maybe we're gonna create a pullback right now, lower high, and maybe turn a little bit lower. But then after I saw the market actually creating a high right there, then I started reading the market a little bit differently, because then I thought, cool, then this is the high of the week. Right now we're about to jump down, potentially to retest some of those areas. But what the market did is it just gave us the pullback right there, consolidated again, and exactly on the news release we just exploded, right? And since then we've been creating pretty nice bullish structure, right? Not a single higher low has been broken, even on the 15 minutes, right? There is a higher low right there, higher lows here as well. There is a double bottom right there, and yeah, we just continued to push higher and higher and higher. So for the next week, what can we expect? It's really tricky to tell, all right? Because what the market does right now, if you have a look on the left, we have a lot of lower highs, right? There is the first, there is one, there is two, there is 3, and there is 4. All right. So what the market simply does right now, it taps into all of those levels and reacts. Tap into level, react, tap, react, tap, react. All right. So what I don't want you to do right now is to try selling from those levels, because the market is currently bullish and those levels are just a reaction point for the market. All right. What I mean by a reaction point, well, the market has to find support from somewhere in order to create a pullback, right? It has to find support in order to create a pullback, and this is just a reaction then for the market to flush to the downside. All right, so I really hope that makes sense. So what I actually expect, I'm not gonna drop all of those levels right there, but we basically have, let's say, this level as supply, then we have this level right there as supply. So basically I expect the market to react from all of them, but personally I am perfectly bullish on this market. So if I just zoom in, I don't see too many clear levels, like we have one right here, okay, and then even you have a very shorter term ones. But what I would love to see on the DXY is a start of a bearishness on Monday and Tuesday. So let's say that we start having a little bit of a pullback, and then potentially on Tuesday or on Wednesday I want to have the weekly low created, and then to potentially start taking longs. All right, so far like we have those higher lows, higher lows, higher lows right there, but this is also right now becoming liquidity that I want the market first to take out and then to potentially start heading higher. All right, so currently you're going to see that the market is super extended, so it's going to be really hard to actually provide a proper analysis. So for me right now, it's all about actually flowing with the market, waiting for that weekly low or high, and then potentially going for the continuation. All right, so let's see. This is my main level for the DXY. Of course, I don't expect it to come all the way down. So basically what I want you to do is drop your FIP once you see the market has created a clear high and it has initiated the pullback, and then just wait for around 50% pullback. All right, because this is going to be your highest probability setup. So let's see, and make sure to stay tuned for the Tuesday analysis where we potentially are going to have some more clear price action. Let's have a look at Euro USD. Look at that beautiful bearish engulfing candle right there, and right now we are definitely headed lower. Well, just to provide you with a little bit of higher time frame context, well, basically we are still reacting from this range right there on the left. As you can see, the market reacted, but it found support from this range. So basically right now the crucial thing was for me on euro dollar is to see if we're gonna have a break of this high. All right, but what we have right now is actually a shift and the market creating a lower high. So right now, what does that mean is that this low right there is weak. Why is it weak? Because it failed to make a new higher high. So what does that mean is that this level is gonna break. All right, so definitely 1.17 should break. Then we should also break this level because the demand from this range was already taken by this move to the upside. So there are no orders left. Potentially we can get a little bit of a reaction because this is still demand, but then potentially I would expect the drop towards some of those areas, which is like 1.14 all the way down to 1.11. So definitely a lot of sellers are potentially gonna come on EU, but again, I don't want to throw such a big longer term perspective because I'm an intraday trader, so I really care what happens today, not that much in terms of weeks, but it's always super important to actually stay with the higher time frames. All right. So basically another thing that I also wanted to mention is that have a look for how many weeks, how the market rounded right there at the top. Like we have wick, and all this on the last 3 weeks, we had descending wicks. All right. So that is also another pretty important information for you to spot, because this is when like we see how the market actually changes. It always does this, like this rounding formation right there. So it's very important for you to actually start spotting those. All right. Then dropping onto the daily, nothing too much to extract in the daily, right? It looked like we want to go bullish from this demand. Like you can see, we tapped, we reacted, we tapped, we reacted, but then just the market snapped to the downside. All right. So basically right now we have one area to look at, which is this. Let me actually see. Yeah, perfect. This looks pretty good, which is actually this daily demand. But as I told you, I would actually expect maybe just a little reaction and then just the market has to continue down. This is what I think. But yeah, currently super extended market. So where the pullback is gonna come, we don't know, because we basically have this level right there, which is a lower high. We have another lower high right there. Not to say that this level is unretested, but I just don't think that the market is gonna provide us with 100% retracement before actually continuing down. All right. And basically, if you have a look, again, as I told you, with this rounding formation on the weekly, the market beautifully started creating lower highs and lower lows. All right. You can see right here, break of structure, lower low, lower high, another break of structure right there. This is a lower low. And then there is the lower high. And basically where I got caught off guard, because I actually missed a lot of short opportunities. is that I waited for a bigger retracement, okay? But as you can see, the market just wicked above to create the weekly high above the 50% of this range, all right? But I know all of us, most of the people were looking at this level right there to get tapped before actually taking the short, okay? But the market just provided us with a little retracement. Also, then again, broke structure to the downside. Okay, this is our kind of minor higher low, push to the upside, higher high, break of structure, retest, lower high, and there is your short right there. But of course, what I did to unfocused, I was taking longs, right? So let's see what I did. I'm gonna plot all my 3 trades. And let's drop a little bit to the lower time frames. Let's maybe do first hourly. Yeah, so basically my first trade was on Monday. I knew that the market was extended, so I wanted to trade it a little bit higher. And my final target was actually exactly that 50% that I showed you. So I wanted to take a long and to potentially ride it towards the 50%, which would have given me around 1 to 11, which is perfectly fine. But I, as a day trader, I don't want to hold my trades overnight as well. And as you can see, yeah, it would have actually hit, which is pretty good, but I actually secured all of my positions. So let's start dropping even lower. So those are my 3 trades. As you can see, I'm taking the wrong trades right there. But yeah, this one was really good. Like you can see how we consolidated during Asia. We had that Asian fake. Then we had a massive expansion to the upside that broke structure. And then it was all about taking the retest. And if I just drop to the 1 minute to show you actually how I took my trade, because I trade mainly the 1 minute right now. Come on. Yep, so basically there is that manipulation during London, then there is our expansion to the upside. So where actually this expansion starts is from this little range, right? So we have a push. The market also creates liquidity on both sides. I also explained this on my IG live in one of my videos. And basically there is my trade right there. I'm gonna share my MT4 stats for you to see as well. And yeah, pretty nice, 3 pip stop loss. Then I saw the market break structure above. So I was thinking for a scale in right there, but I was like, cool, let's just give it some time. And then after seeing the continuation, I was cool that right now I want to get a scale in. So I immediately spot my next range, which is this one. And I set my order exactly right there. Usually I set them a little bit above the 50% because I not always get tapped. So basically my order was somewhere right there. And my stop loss was 2 pips. I don't use stop losses lower than 2 pips. And yeah, basically I got missed on this one. Very, very, very unfortunately. And yeah, then what I did, I started taking partials on this one. So the first trade that I took, I think I took partials right there at 266 somewhere, or I took 20 pips on this one. And then I was looking for this long. I didn't take this one. Then I was looking at this long. I also didn't take it. But then what I also spotted is that the market was starting to change the structure. All right. And it was very important for me. I took another partial right there, I believe at 301. I'm going to share that as well. And then I just let a runner. But then I was like, cool. So I would expect the market to pull back right now. And as I saw that the market failed to break above this high, which means that a failure to continue higher. And then I started seeing how the market was also shifting structure and breaking structure. I cut all my trades somewhere right there. I just closed it and I banked around, I think 3% on this one, because although it is a 1 to 8, I risked a little bit less than 1% and I was taking partials along the way as well. So yeah, this was my Monday's trade. Pretty nice and a lot of scaling opportunities that I somehow missed this one. Then I did not execute on this one. I wasn't looking to trade this one because it's not in my timing. So yeah, and this is my first trade. So let's jump on to the second, which is the next day. So what is my mistake right there? So let's zoom in right there to see what we have. So basically there is Tuesday. We start right there in the Asian session. And then what we have is again, the same thing as yesterday. So I follow that same pattern, the market pushing into the highs, the market pushing into the highs, pulling back, pushing up even again. So for me, the trade should have been taken from the downside right there, but I really thought that the market is just going to continue bullish, failing to acknowledge that this could have been actually the high of the week or at least the day. So basically my mistake right there was buying too high. All right, so what I did is exactly the same thing. Let me just drop to the 1 minute. Wow, where is this? Look at that massive drop. And yeah, I spotted that exact same range. So this for me was my higher low, the major higher low. I was seeing the liquidity building up right there as well. I was seeing it also building to the upside right here, especially with this one. But basically this one was a beautiful short right there because you can see the failure to break above, the shift of market structure, and there is your entry from a lower high. But I did not look at it this way. Fortunately for me on this trade, I'm going to share my stats as well. I cut 50% of my position somewhere right there because with my entries, if I don't get an immediate reaction and if I don't get like really the market showing me that it wants to go, I usually cut my trade to reduce my potential loss. All right, so I cut 50% of my position somewhere right there to take around 0.20% loss. And then as the market was pushing up, I already knew that this is not gonna go up, so I cut the remaining of my position at break even. Okay, so basically this was a pretty low probability trade that I took from my side. All right, but I managed to escape on this one just with a 0.20% loss. All right. And then I basically skipped trading for this day, although there were some great opportunities. There is that long opportunity that I missed. I really wanted to take this one, because then what happens, guys, if this demand doesn't hold, it turns into supply. All right, so basically this level later became supply. All right, and what I was looking at is to actually take a long from here and to ride it towards that area. And as you can see, that would have been a beautiful 1 to 5. All right, but usually after, like, this is 6, this is 4, 5, yeah, this is a little bit too late for me, so I did not take this trade. All right, and then on to the next one. Actually, the next day, I'm just gonna stay on the 1 minute right now. I was seeing all of this madness right there. So for me, this was also the low of the day created during London. Then we created this sell to buy right there. We also almost broke structure. We actually broke it right there, but I was failing to acknowledge that the market was just retesting some of those supply areas right there. But then what I was seeing is tons of liquidity being built right there, and I just wanted to take a long and just ride it into the highs. I don't know why, but I got fixated on longs, because also, if you remember in the DXY, I was looking for that deeper pullback. Okay, so this is my third trade. I executed on it right there. I'm gonna share my MT4 stats. And yeah, basically it gave me the immediate reaction, then it went down, then it gave me another reaction, went down again, then broke structure. Cool. I was also looking for a re-entry, but I was getting a little bit too aggressive, so I was like, okay bro, chill. There's my retest, perfect, then the market broke structure. There's my second retest, then again broke structure. So what I did is I managed my stop loss below, right there, just below this wick. And my mistake on this trade is that I did not go break even after the market showed me that it failed to continue higher and break any significant structure, right? Because if this was about to go up, it should have just continued to skyrocket to the upside. But what it did is it created this high and then it just plummeted to the downside and also broke this structure right there. So for me, this should have been sellers. And what I should have done is actually taken a hedge against my position in order to capitalize on the short. But what I did is I just actually remained my stop loss right there. So that was another 0.25% loss for me. All right. And yeah, basically those are all my trades. And basically I'm finishing like the one was 3%, and then those two losses around 0.50, and with commissions around 2.something% for this week, which I'm pretty sad about because there were tons of opportunities later to take as well. But as I told you, I wasn't that focused. So definitely, yeah, pretty happy actually. So right now the question is, what is EU gonna do? As I told you, we're currently traveling towards this big range on the daily. But right now, if I just try to forecast the potential pullback, I don't know, to be honest, right? We can actually type, we can have this range right there. We can have this lower high. So for me right now, it's really important to see how the weekly is going to open. I actually think we can actually have some longs. Maybe it's going to take the liquidity below the previous weekly low. Then we're going to change the structure. Then we're going to start taking any longs. But for me, it's very difficult to forecast where the market can actually stop. Because if you drop like the whole range from the top to the low, then usually you would love to wait for the above 50%. Okay, but this is a little bit too much. Like we can take tons of longs into the upside. Like you can see, that is 140 pips. So this big move right now kind of disturbs everything. So let's see. I don't want to call any pullback levels. For me, it will be really important to actually flow with the market. If it pulls back, creates a lower high, I'm gonna take a short. If it fakes below first, let's see something like this, then it starts to change structure in the lower time frames, I'm gonna start taking longs. All right, that's why it's important for you to stay tuned for the Tuesday analysis, where we're gonna have a look at some fresh analysis. Let's have a quick look at EJ, which is already initiating that pullback. If you remember, like I've been telling you that this pair definitely needs a pullback. So we actually created this high. And yeah, then for 2 weeks, it looks like a pullback right there. And remember what I told you is that it kind of looks like that bullish candle had those two candles in between, which is usually like an inside bar, a very powerful formation. And actually this week we really launched to the downside. So where is EJ going right now? Well, I don't know. We have little higher lows right there that we can potentially react. Maybe better seen on the daily. Let's drop on the daily. Well, yeah, what I can see right there is basically this whole higher low formation right there. You can see that consolidation. Then from here, we actually impulse strongly to the upside. Then we have a pullback, and then potentially you could have taken this demand, but as you can see, the market just blew through it, right? But yeah, right now, what will be really nice is to actually tap inside this range and start having a little bit of a pullback. Where to and for how long, we don't know, all right? But basically right now, this is our major lower high. And the bad thing about this one right now is that this is huge. Like guys, this is 300 pips move. So right now we can expect at least 150 pips move pullback. So definitely we can start taking longs, all right? So yeah, I don't want to really call any reversals, but right now, what kind of analysis can I provide, right? It's just a straight move to the downside. So all I can say is, well, I want a pullback, but where can the pullback occur? Well, we don't know, because new price action is going to form. We can absolutely turn bullish, right? Let's say that the market is starting to slow down. We can then break this structure, then we can pull back, and then we can start trading into the upside until the market reaches from low prices to high prices, and then we're gonna start selling off, all right? But where is that gonna be? Well, usually if you drop again, as I keep telling you, drop your range from the high to the low and usually wait for above 50%, okay? So I'm definitely gonna wait for this, and potentially if the market really respects some of those levels inside this whole range and it starts showing me some bullish prices, and maybe we start the week with some bearishness inside the zone, then I believe we can maybe have a bullish week. But after this big selling pressure, I just don't want to buy. All right, so again, let's see how this one is going to develop. Also, EJ was pretty tricky this week. Like if you just see what happened, we opened right here on the 14th of June. We pushed into the highs, but we failed to break this high. And then what we did is we actually, like, this is our higher low, higher high, break of this structure. So basically, which confirms our sell bias. And basically, you want to sell the market from some of those areas. And if you start dropping to the 15-minute, you had plenty of opportunities right there. And look at that beautiful fake just before the move. Then we have a break of structure. Then the market continues to go down. Then there is your New York kind of a sharp pullback stage. It always does this. And then we just continue to melt and melt and melt and melt and melt to the downside. All right. So basically, this is what happened on EJ. And right now, yeah, I'm just looking for the pullback. But first of all, we need some clear price action. And this is what it is. Let's have a look at the Aussies, which are also initiating this pullback. After quite a couple of times since December, we have been ranging inside this range. And finally, we have a look at that bearish candle. It also has no wick to the downside. Like, this is really strong. Eventually, I really want to see this market around 0.72. So definitely, we still have 270 pips to trade to the downside. But again, first of all, what makes sense right now is that we're breaking structure on the weekly. And usually what the market wants to do is create a pullback. Okay, but then dropping onto the daily time frame, it looks also pretty good. Like, look at those 4 days of massive selling pressure. So what right now, as I told you, if you remember on the DXY, we have all of those reaction points on the left. So the market is gonna start reacting from all of those levels, but as I told you, it's just gonna be reaction, pullback, reaction, pullback, reaction, pullback, until we get into the major zone, where from there we can actually start changing the structure. Okay, so the bias is perfectly bearish in terms of higher time frame. Okay, what we have to do right now is try to spot the levels on the left from where the market can potentially find support, so we can actually expect that pullback. All right, but Aussie dollar has also been clean this week. If you see, like, we opened right there with a consolidation, then we immediately actually broke structure. Hope it's not this one, like this. We broke structure, then we actually pull back to create a lower high, and then we just sold off. Little pullback, sold off again, little pullbacks that you can also trade on the 15 minutes right there. But yeah, just a massive move on the Aussie as well. So again, guys, what can we expect? Well, pullback. Where to? Well, let's say we drop our range from the high when the market creates the low, and then we can potentially wait for above 50% and very nicely resonates with this supply right there. So definitely my aim right now for the Aussie is to just see where the bottom is gonna get created, and then to potentially maybe start taking a little bit of longs Tuesday, Wednesday, and then maybe on Thursday we can have maybe a sell-off. So right now with the current market conditions, we cannot plan too much for ahead, because the market can maybe just start with a little pullback and then just continue for another 4 days to flush to the downside. And if we see this, just follow the price. All right, but this is basically what I expect on the Aussie. We have to examine a little bit on the left where potentially the market could stop. You can see that you have lots of ranges right there, lots of supportive levels, lots of higher low formations. So let's see. Definitely we have to wait and see. And as you can see also AJ, after quite some time of choppiness right there, we're starting to initiate very strongly outside. All right, and definitely this has definitely a lot of space to go. And yeah, the little level right there, I don't see any other levels. Also, what you could do is usually the lows also act as liquidity. So if we take this low, then we can initiate the pullback, because this is actually going to create a lower low. And what are we usually going to have after a lower low? A lower high, right? So let's see if this is actually going to break, and then potentially to have that reaction. And then it's all about trading that pullback and see where that pullback can take us, right? Again, the level that makes a lot of sense to me is this one, but the market has to pull back quite some time until it gets to that level. Like this is 200 pips, right? So again, pretty hard. We have more recent ones clear 4 hourly lower highs. So definitely watch out for those ones. But first of all, I need to see the weekly low, then a structure shift, and then to potentially take longs towards those levels. And in order to do this, guys, you also need to see an hourly structure change. So I really don't want you to marry taking reversal trades right now, because all the market is extended. So taking reversals is what everybody is gonna do. But you have to counter everybody. So you just keep following the trend until you're wrong. All right. This is what I try to do. I go long until the trend tells me otherwise. But also you need to have the skill to actually adapt and see when the market is starting to go against you. All right. So this is my plan on the Aussies, looking for that low and then to potentially take it a little bit higher. Exactly the same story with the NZDs, right? After a big period of consolidation, right now we're having a massive drop to the downside that is also breaking weekly structure, okay? So we can actually, on this one, we can already expect the pullback because the market is already breaking and taking the liquidity below this low, all right? So definitely, as you can see, again, 4 days of bearishness, we definitely need some sort of a pullback. The market is also creating nice pullbacks. As you can see, we started 14th of June, consolidation, we broke structure, we retested. So basically, the market actually told us early on that we might actually reverse, all right? Just have a look at this. This is clear, all right? We have the weekly high. This is the high of the week created on Tuesday. Massive drop on Wednesday, confirming lower prices. Thursday, there is our pullback, and then we just melted to the downside. All right, so it was all set. It was actually very clear, but of course right now it's clear in hindsight always, but it's important for you to actually learn first in hindsight and then to potentially start striking on those setups when you see them live. So basically 2 areas that I'm looking at for potential pullbacks on the NZD USD, potentially the weekly low, then we can continue higher, then react from this, maybe then react from that, and then sell off. Let's see, all right? Let's see. It also depends from where actually the sellers are gonna come from, but currently it's very hard to actually break down and provide a proper analysis. So let's just wait and see. Have those levels marked, and let's see how the market is gonna open. And of course, stay tuned for my Tuesday analysis where I'm gonna give you a proper update as well. And yeah, NZD JPY, exactly the same levels. Right there, exactly the same story, breaking structure to the downside, massively impulsing down, and potentially heading for the lows. All right, where we can potentially find support. The market is already breaking below this lows, so this is no longer relevant. This one looks pretty strong. So if the market taps inside this level, definitely expect the pullback towards this range. Maybe I wouldn't say this one because this one looks very high. Like imagine, you should also think logically. If the market taps inside right there, do you think it's gonna give you 300 pips just for that pullback, right? It will just seek the most recent lower high or the most recent range, and it's gonna react from it, all right? So flow with the market, don't look for big pullbacks. We're in a beautiful trending market right now, so every single pullback is tradable. Trade the pullbacks until you're wrong. So let's see how the NZDs are gonna develop next week. USD JPY, what a tricky pair to be trading right now, because you can see we had this massive pump into the highs, then we pushed to the downside. It looks like we broke structure as well. Then the market has been correcting. We then faked very strongly, but yeah, with the bullish dollar, it was expected this one to continue. But also the JPY plays an important role, right? So basically this one is perfectly bullish. As you can see on the daily, we also broke structure to the upside, which is pretty important. Where does this break of structure initiate from? From right there. And as you can see, we kind of already tapped inside, but I would say that I would expect the market to retrace a little bit lower before continuing higher, okay? But the market is currently looking like perfectly bullish. Then dropping onto the 4-hourly time frame, like you can see that this was also building a pretty nice bullish price action. On Monday, we created a range, then we initiated outside, then we actually pulled back inside, this range, right, to create a higher low formation, and then we exploded massively, and yeah, then the market just created a higher high, and it's reacting from the extremes right there, and then we had this nice pullback. So what the market does right now is it reacts from this demand. Okay, so we already tapped inside, we already reacted, but personally, as I told you, I think we might drop a little bit lower. Right, because everybody's already longs right there, so I definitely would love everybody to get stopped out first and then to potentially to take a long from there. As we expect the other pairs, for example, let's say we trade Euro USD and we want to see the high of the week first forming before taking shorts. I want to see the low of the week first forming on UJ before taking longs. All right, so let's see where we can potentially react. This one definitely looks nice. We also broke structure on the hourly, so definitely longs are already in play, but let's see how it's gonna develop. Personally, I think this level is already taken, so what I want to see right now is the market to dive a little bit deeper inside this daily level, and then to potentially to look for a nice structure shift either on the hourly or on the 15 minutes to then take some buys into the highs. Alright, let's have a look at the GBPs, which were also super massive this week. As you can see, pretty similar to EU, we kind of rounded right there for a couple of weeks, and right now we're just exploding to the downside. So I think definitely GU is going for the lows right now, and eventually we can have a little bit of a deeper downtrend, right? If I just check actually the monthly, you can see that the monthly is just making a high. Okay, and basically where does this structure start from here? So definitely we can actually expect the market to come all the way down to 1.34. okay, and if I just drop a line right there, this is unretested structure. So if we drop maybe on the weekly, let's see, oops, this is daily. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense for the market to actually retest that area before potentially continuing higher. All right, so yeah, on the daily, as you can see, tons of ranges right there, but there were a lot of setups to be taken from there as well. And also, before the reversal, the market actually said that it's pretty clear it wants to go down. We created lower high, the market pushed lower, broke structure as well. Then there is our pullback. It actually faked this high to actually create the weekly high. And since then, we just plummeted to the downside. All right. I'm not going to go in depth into breaking down all the shorts and long trades this week. We took tons of, I didn't take, but the community took tons of GBP trades this week. Basically the average is 20 hours per week on GU and even more. So definitely a lot to break down. But next week, as I'm really focusing the market and also trading GU, I'm gonna create the midweek video where I break down all the pairs that we took. So yeah, basically right now GU is massively rampaging to the downside. So again, exactly the same story as with all the other pairs, all right? We have to find the potential level that the market can react from, which could be this one that we're almost reaching. So what I would expect, sorry, my voice is breaking, is to potentially have the weekly low, let's say inside this range, then to potentially have a structure shift and then to start targeting some of those supply areas that are already forming right here and maybe right there. All right, it's very, very, very tricky right now because we do not have clear structure to expect, right? We have a push down, then the market can change, then we can tap inside, then we can react, but then we can also continue to push higher into those levels right there. So for me right now, it's really important for all of the pairs to just give them some time. Just let Monday play out, for example. Let's see how it's going to open. Let's see if we're going to create the low of the week right there and then to potentially reverse the structure. And yeah, let's see, nothing too much to break down on GU right now, super extended, potentially calling this demand. Let's see how we're going to react from this demand. And then potentially we can start taking longs if it's clear, the reversal, all right? And then potentially the targets will be those 4 hourly supply levels. But for me right now, it will be perfect to let Monday play out to then see some clear structure, because what we can also do is we can make a pullback, then we can create a lower high, and then we just continue rolling down. This is usually what the market does after big impulsive waves. Like, did you guys try to take longs on GU after this massive drop, right? Because we see a drop, we see the market creating a low, and we think, cool, it's pulling back. Nope, it keeps pushing down. Then you think, oh, it's very low right now, so let's trade the pullback. You get a little bit of a pullback, and then another drop, all right? So as you can see, the market just keeps dropping down with momentum. So if you have such momentum, avoid taking reversals until you see clear shift of structure, maybe even on the hourly. As you can see, those ones were just stops on the hourly, and it just continues to drop lower and lower and lower. So let's see how this one is going to go. Exactly the same story with GJ. Potentially the immediate thing that makes sense is this range right there. The market is currently tapping inside. So same story. What I would expect is potentially to have the weekly low, then a clear reversal, and then to potentially tap inside some of those layers in order to take a big short. For me, this level looks very nice. Why? Because it's 2 full hourly candles to the upside before a massive sell-off, which signifies a lower high and also a created supply level. So yeah, super simple analysis. Let's see how the market is going to react to this level. Potentially always also follow up on your hourly structure, right? This was a lower high, lower low. Then right now this is a lower high, because the market has already created a lower low. So if we have a clear break above this structure, as I have indicated, maybe first let's see the weekly low, then a clear break of structure, then a nice retest, and then we can potentially trade it higher. But for that, we have to be patient and wait for that setup to develop. So let's see again, extended, we gotta wait. GA, yeah, this, I just don't trade this pair and I don't understand it, and I say this every week, and I'm just gonna actually remove this from my watch list. Yep, looks like bullish. This is heavily influenced by Aussie USD, and Aussie USD is just extremely bearish, and GU is extremely bearish, and this is a combination between GU and AU. So what do we do, right? Well, we chop. And usually the stronger pair, like, yeah, but you can see that we're not moving really nicely on this one. It looks like longs, but the levels for me are not that clear. So definitely, yep, I would prefer to go with the trend, because we had a new high right there, even on the daily. As you can see, we're breaking structure. So for me, a pullback to the downside, a higher low formation, and a continuation up will be perfect. But we have to see how this one is gonna form, because simply you can see on the hourly, like we have a massive pump, retest, then a continuation higher, tons of consolidation right there. So let's see how this one is gonna play out, right? And then Euro GBP. Actually, this one was pretty perfect, right? So we have this range right there. We have the market pushing down. Pullback inside this supply, then we have another break of structure to the downside, then this one creates a new lower high. The market pulls back inside the lower high with a nice buy to sell, then this one also creates a new supply. So basically, as you can see, we had quite a lot of shorting opportunities on Euro GBP, and yeah, was this week? Yeah, 15th of June, creating the high of the week, then we just consolidated, and then we just melted to the downside. So if we have a look at Euro GBP, it also looks perfectly bearish right now. But why does it look bearish? It actually should look bullish, because on GU we're just dropping to the downside. But again, this is a pair like GA. It's a combination between Euro USD and GBP USD, and usually EU and GU move together. And if they move together, then this one will be overall chopping around. All right. But in terms of structural perspective, for me, this is perfectly sell bias market. So what I will be waiting for is for the market to tap inside right there to show me the shift, and then to potentially continue lower. All right. So this is my quick outlook on the GBP, guys, because this week, after all of those massive pushes, we definitely need to have a little bit of adjustment, a little bit of kind of the market to stabilize a little bit, to show us some clear price action, but definitely letting Monday play out, maybe taking some small trades, and then to potentially see how Tuesday, Wednesday are going to go. And of course, we're going to have a lot of opportunities. But first of all, we need to see the narrative of the market, how it's going to build up, how it's going to go, and then we can potentially strike with the new price action and the new momentum and intentions of the big banks for the week. Look at that massive move on gold to the downside. So basically we were expecting higher prices on gold, but with the DXY getting so strong, the gold is just plummeting. So I'm not by any means an expert on gold, right? So I'm not sure if this one is actually going down right now. So let me know what you guys think, right? We're currently tapping inside this kind of demand, which is not really strong, because it did not cause any breaks. It did not cause any very strong impulses. And if I just look at this massive drop to the downside, I personally think that maybe gold is actually going down, right? So basically, similar to all the other pairs, we might start heading lower and maybe even taking those lows right there, this beautiful double bottom to get taken. But first of all, of course, we have to wait for some sort of a pullback. And where will the pullback occur? Well, we don't know. And where will it usually occur? Well, maybe above the 50% after we create the lower low. All right. So for gold, for me right now is just a matter of time. Let's wait how it develops right there. We have a new major lower high structure right there. So yeah, let's see how the market is going to find support, maybe even from this lower range, maybe from this one right now. It's definitely going to find support sometime this week and then initiate a potential pullback. So for us, it's important to actually catch the bottom, to see where the bottom is going to form, then to see the structure shift, maybe on the hourly time frame, and then to start taking the longs towards the pullback. Because yeah, if you just wait for the pullback, then you're missing out on trading the pullback. But of course, if you don't want to do this, it's perfectly fine. Most of the times, it's much better to wait for the pullback and then to focus on taking shorts rather than taking longs and then taking shorts. But of course, Let's see what's gonna happen, and let me know down in the comments what is your view on gold. Lovely news for the indices. We're having a massive bearish engulfing candle in US30, actually breaking the most recent structure. And why is this lovely? Because we get to buy low, all right? So I'm really looking forward for that pullback. And as you can see, like since the high, we're already down 5%, which is already looking like a pullback. So I would definitely expect like around 8 to 10, which is more considered like a correction. And 10% stops exactly at this kind of a higher low formation that hasn't been retested. So definitely looking forward for this one to pull back. And as you can see, like in the last day, it's when we really picked up steam to the downside. Some of the stocks are falling down. Also, we failed to make we failed to make a new high, which is also pretty important for me. So let's see, definitely shorts. Let's see how far we're gonna go. And again, definitely I would expect the market to find support somewhere, to pull back, and then to potentially continue higher, and then definitely going all in as the market goes down. It's interesting that NASDAQ is actually doing pretty good, right? But it's other sorts of companies as well. As you can see, they're doing good. The market is continuing to break structure and creating new higher highs. Right now, we have this demand that the market pushed outside. We have a little pullback, another push. So basically, this is perfectly bullish. But still, I'm not sure. Again, I'm not even trading indices as well. So I'm not sure how actually the correlation works, like between US30 and NASDAQ. I don't think they're pretty much linked at all because it's different sort of companies. But yeah, right now, if we drop right there, I would expect, of course, higher prices. But let's see if this is also going to be influenced by all the things that are happening. And of course, the most important index, the S&P, is also initiating a little bit of a drop. All the stocks are about to fall as well. So make sure that you are prepared. Hope you have some savings on in order to put some money in. As you can see as well, like in terms of weekly time frame, this is creating a high, and we also, we kind of just faked above the high. We almost broke, but we kind of faked, and right now we're starting to initiate lower. So for me, I would really actually love to see the market go lower than this week and come and retest some of those levels right there. Let me see if that makes sense on the daily. Definitely it does. Because for me, yes, this was a little pullback right there. I actually bought down there, but I would be really happy to have from the high to the low around 8% pullback. That would be a golden opportunity. So let's see how this is going to go. Monitoring the 4-hourly price action, we're already seeing some nice reversal of price, already breaking some structure. So definitely right now, it's all about finding the reaction points, pulling back, and then to potentially continuing to sell off. So let's see, let me know what are your thoughts also on the indices. And this is how I'm gonna wrap up this video, guys. Slightly bit disappointed because we have all of those big pushes right now, so it's really hard to actually provide the proper analysis with the proper levels. But of course, it's really important to flow with the market right now, see how it's gonna open, and then to potentially strike once it's done, all right? So that's for me. Really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, notifications on, of course, and make sure to stay tuned for my Tuesday Telegram analysis and all the videos that are upcoming on this channel.